Hi, welcome to O2 Life. My name is David, and today we are going to do an O2 flow. No props necessary, but if you have props at home, blocks, blankets, anything that you want to use, you're certainly welcome to add them to your practice. My Spotify playlist is linked in the details of this video, so open the link, press play now, and enjoy the flow. So today we are going to start in Hero's Pose. So you're just going to sit on your shins, hips back over your heels, knees are forward, and you kind of start drawing everything to center. And if for some reason you got knee issues and this doesn't feel good, you can always sit cross-legged. Just let your hands fall to your lap. And just press the shins down into the floor. Like it feels like the knees are moving forward, but your weight is centered right over your heels. And take a big breath in through the nose. Open your mouth and exhale it out. Just 2 more breaths just like this to start the practice. Inhale, just feel the chest rising, the shoulders expanding, the crown of the head lifting. Open the mouth, stick out your tongue, exhale. And just last clearing breath here to start the practice today. Inhale, just fill up all the way to your capacity. Open your mouth, stick out your tongue, exhale until you're completely empty. Just blink your eyes open. Bring your hands together at your heart, interlace your fingertips. Take a big breath in. Just feel your chest start to move into your hands. And then as you exhale, you're going to turn your palms forward and just start to press your hands forward. Start to hollow out the space in the front of the body. As you inhale, take your hands up and overhead. Feels like you're creating a cow shape in your back, so your chest is moving forward. And then exhale, feels like you're creating a cat shape in your spine as you press the back of the heart back. Inhale, rising up. Press the chest forward, find a little stretch in the shoulders. Maybe your gaze goes towards the sky. Exhale, press the hands forward, hollow out the front body, start to arch the spine. 2 more times on your breath, just moving. Inhale. Exhale. And just notice that your breath has a certain sound, and let that breath be what guides you through your movement practice today. Exhale, let it go. And just take your hands behind you, interlace. Just going to chase your hands down towards the soles of your feet, spread the collarbones, just another shoulder stretch before we really start to get into the movement today. Take your chin up to the sky, squeeze your shoulder blades around the spine. Inhale. And then as you exhale, just start to fold over your knees. Take your hands up and overhead if that's available in your shoulders in your practice. Drop your forehead to the earth. Just a variation of child's pose. You can rock your shoulders side to side, just find a little bit of movement. Big breath in. Open mouth, exhale. Bring your hands down to the earth. Find a tabletop position, hands and knees. And just stacking your shoulders over your wrists. Squeeze your fingertips so that your middle knuckles start to rise. It just kind of feels like you're pawing, you're grabbing into the earth. Hips over the knees. And then you're just going to inhale, pull the chest through, cowl the spine. Exhale, cat. Press the back of the heart up. Tuck the tailbone towards the knees. Inhale, pull it through. Exhale, press the earth away. Just one more time, just starting to find the space between each vertebrae. Inhale, cow, pull the chest through, look up, hips up. Exhale, press the earth away, hands and knees, look into your navel. Press the back of the heart to the sky. Nice neutral spine, just level it out, walk your right hand center of the mat. Inhale, take your left hand to the sky. Draw your hips back and enter 2, create a window underneath your right armpit, and then exhale, twist. Drop your left shoulder to the earth, reach your left fingertips through. Press down into your right hand, just find a little deeper twist. The rib cage starting to move around the spine. Inhale. Exhale. One more breath, inhale. And just use your exhale to unwind, come right back to your neutral tabletop. Left hand to the center of the mat. Inhale, take your right hand up. Again, draw the hips back, create a little space for you to rotate through. Exhale, right shoulder to the earth. Right fingertips pull through. You drop in your right ear, your right shoulder. You press into your left hand. The more you press into your left hand, you start to feel that left shoulder moving back behind you. Keep drawing outer hips in. 2 full breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Big breath in. Exhale out. Tabletop position. Last little simple movement to kind of warm us up before we're really starting to float today. Just turn your fingertips so that they face your knees. Your thumbs touch the edges of the mat so your forearms are nice and wide. Drop your hips back towards your heels. Just sort of stretch the wrist, stretch the forearms. Inhale, you can kind of rock your weight forward. You feel the shoulders over the wrist again. Exhale, dropping the hips back. One more time. Inhale, forward. Exhale, sinking the hips back. And then you're just going to flip your hands to a nice normal position. You're going to turn your fingers out just slightly so that your left index finger points to the left corner of the mat. Your right index finger points to the front right corner of the mat. It allows you to really drive down through the base of the thumbs. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And from your downward facing dog, just take any movement that feels good. You can bend one knee straight in the opposite leg. And just do the opposite side. You can kind of just go side to side, figuring out however you want to move, the shoulders, the hips, just using this first downward facing dog to kind of scan through the body. Notice what feels good right now, maybe what feels tight depending on what time of day you're practicing. Just maybe noticing if it's still a little stiff or if you're waking up early or if you've had any kind of changes in the body throughout the day from any other kind of activities that you might have had or from sitting at a desk. And then once you start to feel like your downward facing dog is finding its home, its place, just how your downward facing dog is going to be today, just stay here for a few breaths. And then walk your feet together to touch. Press down into your left foot. Inhale, take your right leg to the sky. Exhale, step all the way through to your right thumb. So your nice long lunge. Go ahead and come up to your fingertips. As you inhale, drop your hips a little towards the earth. Pull your chest through. As you exhale, start to think about creating cat in the spine. Draw the inner thighs together. Look in towards your navel. Press the back of the heart up. Just 2 more times. Inhale, sink into the hips. Pull the chest through. Exhale, press down into your fingertips. Draw outer hips in. Look into your belly button. Inhale, pull it through. And then exhale, draw it in. Go ahead and drop your back knee down to the earth. Straighten the front leg, pull the hips back. Half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. And start to think about just stretching the bottom of the right leg. So you're getting into your right hamstring. And then once you start to find an edge there, that place where you don't want to go too much farther, but you're not too far away from the stretch, start to think about lengthening your spine, maybe walking your fingertips forward. And just close your eyes, take a few breaths. And then go ahead and come back into the bend of the front knee. You're going to hover your back knee up off the mat, so you're in a double bent leg crescent lunge. Once you find some stability, you're going to sweep your hands up to the sky. Wrap the triceps forward so to create some space between your shoulder blades. Big breath in. Exhale, straighten the back legs. So your hips kind of stay in the same place, and you're finding your Anjaneyasana, your crescent lunge pose. Go ahead and bring your right hand to your navel, left hand to the low back. Send the tailbone down, pull the belly up and in. Spread the collarbones. As you inhale, rock your weight forward, load the weight into the right foot. Go ahead and float your left leg up. You're in a bent leg, warrior 3. Square the hips, square the shoulders. Big breath in. As you exhale, just straighten the right leg. Feel the right hamstring, right glute engage. Keep the hips, keep the shoulders level. Reach back through your left toes. Step back quietly. How much control can you have as you land? And then inhale, reach for the sky. Anjaneyasana, hands together to touch. Bend the elbows, lift the chest. Inhale, reach behind you. Start to find a big stretch across the front of the body. Sink into your front knee. Exhale, hands come down to the earth. Plant both hands. Inhale, take your right leg up to the sky, 3-legged dog. Look forward. You're going to pull your chest all the way through. Bend the elbows, spread the collarbones. Upward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, take your hips high. Downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And just take a breath or two. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale through the nose. Open mouth, exhale through the mouth. Inhale, take your left leg to the sky, 3-legged dog. Exhale, look forward, step all the way through to your left thumb. Inhale, drop the hips slightly, pull the chest through. Exhale, coil the spine. Feel like you're creating cat in the back while you're in crescent lunge feet. Inhale, pull the chest through, just starting to move through the hips. Exhale, press the earth away, starting to find space between the vertebrae. Inhale, pull it through. Exhale, cat the spine. Go ahead and drop your back knee down. Pull the hips back in space. Stretch your left hamstring. Ardha Hanumanasana. Again, you're thinking about stretching the bottom of the left leg. You're reaching your chest forward. Maybe fingertips come forward. Second part of this is just starting to think about lengthening the spine, especially in the lower lumbar spine. Close the eyes, take a few breaths. Come back on the bend of the front knee. You're going to keep the back toes tucked. You're going to hover that right knee up off the earth. So you're in a nice active lunging position with your back knee lifted. Inhale, rise, double bent leg, crescent lunge. Find some stability. Wrap the triceps forward. Inhale. Exhale, straighten the right leg. Keep the hips low. Anjaneyasana, crescent lunge. Left hand to the belly, right hand to the back. So you're starting to find this connection to your core, the navel up and in, the tailbone down. Rock your way forward. Load the weight into the front foot. Float your back heel up. Bent leg warrior 3, Virabhadrasana. Square the hips, square the shoulders. Inhale. Exhale, straighten the left leg. Feel that little lift. Again, sink the right hip a little lower so it's level with the left hip. Reach back through your right toes. Step back quietly. Inhale, reach for the sky. Hands together to touch, crescent lunge. Exhale, bend the elbows, lift the chest. Inhale, reach behind you, find the back bend. Just starting to find length across the front chain of the body. Exhale, bring your hands down to the mat. Inhale, take your left leg up to the sky, three-legged dog. Look forward, pull your chest through, upward facing dog. Take your hips high, downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. And again, just find that downward facing dog that you were kind of scanning the body with earlier and just starting to see how it feels a little different as you add movement, add breath. We'll take these awakening yoga sun salutation bees. We'll start to move a little bit more fluidly. Feet together to touch. Inhale, right leg to the sky. Exhale, step all the way through right thumb. Bend your back knee to hover. Inhale, rise, double bent leg. Straighten the left leg. Sweep the hands behind you as you inhale. Go ahead and find your bent leg warrior 3. Exhale, straighten the standing leg. Lift through the left heel. Step back, inhale, reach up. Bend the elbows. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hands down. Now you're going to go through your flow. Three-legged dog. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. One big breath in. Open mouth, exhale it out. Inhale your left leg to the sky. Exhale, look forward, step through. Bend your back knee to hover. Inhale, rise. Stability in the legs, straighten the right knee. Sweep the hands behind you like an airplane. Load the front foot. Bent leg, Virabhadrasana 3. Exhale, straighten the standing leg. Lift the chest. Gaze is still down but forward. Step back quietly in control. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. Bend the elbows, lift the chest. Sink into the front knee as you inhale, reach behind you. Exhale, hands come down to the mat. Move through your flow. Three-legged dog. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Last 2 rounds. Right leg to the sky. You got an option of stepping through. You can bend your left knee. Handstand hop. Bring the right foot forward. Right foot forward, double bent leg, crescent lunge. Exhale, straighten the leg. Go ahead and move into your bent leg warrior 3. Stay with your breath as you straighten the standing leg. Inhale, step back, reach up. Find your back bend. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, grounding. Flow it through, three-legged. Back bend, spread the collarbones. Hips high. Downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg. Either stepping forward or kicking off your right foot for your handstand hop. Switch. Double bent leg, crescent lunge. Left foot is forward. Exhale, straighten the back leg. Find your variation, warrior 3. Exhale, engage the standing leg. Step back, reach up, inhale. Bend the elbows. Sink into the knee, reach behind you. Exhale, grounding. Three-legged dog. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Here we go, last round. Inhale, right. However you want to get that right foot to the top of the mat. Hop, switch, or step. Inhale, double bent leg. Exhale, straighten the back leg. Move your weight forward. Find your floating balance. Straighten the standing leg. Keep lifting through the chest. Step back, reach up, inhale. Bend the elbows, exhale. Inhale, length. And exhale, touch. Move through your flow. See how much control you can have even though you're not taking a chaturanga. You're still using that bent elbow strength as you pull the chest through. Hips rise high. Downward. Facing dog. Inhale, left. Jump, switch, or step. Inhale, rise. Straighten the back leg. Rock the weight forward, find balance. Straighten the standing leg. Feel that left hamstring get a little stronger, a little longer. Step back, inhale, reach up. Exhale. Breath in. Bring it down to the earth. Last time. Pulling it up and back. Driving the chest through as you control the movement forward and down. Hips rise high. Downward. Facing dog. Feet together to touch. Drop your knees down to the mat. Keep your toes tucked, walk your hands back. Toes pose. If you don't like the way this feels on your toes, you can untuck the toes and just take heroes right where we started the practice. If you are in toes pose, grab those little pinky toes, make sure you get them involved too so they can enjoy the fun. Go ahead and take a nice big deep breath in. Close your eyes as you exhale it out. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Just shifting from dynamic movement to a moment of stillness. Maybe just bringing your attention to that sensation you feel on the top of the feet, where you're at in that weight, loading your shoulders over your hips over your heels, and then just starting to feel all that weight into the top of the toes. And then take your attention to the breath, inhale. And then as you exhale through the nose, imagine you can just release some of that tension that you're carrying in the feet. Just let it go out of the body on the breath. 3 more breaths. On the bottom of your next exhale, open your eyes. Bring your hands down to the mat. Untuck your toes and just start to knock your toes on top of the mat. Just kind of releasing all that tension you're just carrying there. Nice work. Tuck your toes, hips high, downward facing dog. Go ahead and walk to the top of the mat. You're going to find a forward fold. Set your feet about hips width distance. You just want to be nice and stable. Grab elbow to elbow. Rock side to side. And as you're just finding this ragdoll, kind of like we did in our first downward facing dog, just take a moment, scan the body. Ask yourself what's happening in your shoulders, what's happening in your hips. What sensations do you feel in your hamstrings, in your feet, in your neck, in your spine? And then just be okay with wherever everything is right now. Taking things as they are instead of as we wish they were. And breathe. And then just release your elbows. Roll all the way up to standing. Reach your hands to the sky, Urdhva Hastasana. Bring your hands together to touch. Bend your knees, drop your hips back. Utkatasana, fierce pose, chair pose. Wrap the triceps forward, look down and see if you can see your toes. If you can't, draw your knees, your shins, your hips back in space. Big breath in. As you exhale, bring your hands down to the mat. You're going to plant both hands. You're going to find that little turning out of the hand so that the left finger points to the left corner, right finger points to the right corner of the mat. Drive down into the base of the thumbs. Take your knees into your armpits. Rock your weight forward. Your feet might not ever leave the earth, or maybe you squeeze right heel towards the glute, left heel towards the glute. Bakasana, crow pose. Think about creating that feeling of cat in the spine so the back of the heart is lifting. And then bring your feet down. Inhale, just roll it all the way up to standing, just unfurling the spine. Inhale, reaching for the sky. Exhale, bend your knees, drop your hips. Fierce pose, Utkatasana. Engage your navel up and in. Start to stick your tailbone back, find some length in your spine. Big breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands, knees to the armpits, come right into your Bakasana crow pose again. Maybe the toes never leave the earth. Maybe both toes leave the earth. Maybe you stay with elbows bent. Maybe you start to move towards straightening the arms. Bring the feet down. Unfurl it up. Reach for the sky, Urdhva Hastasana. Last time, exhale, find your chair pose. Close your eyes. You're here for 5 breaths. Seeing if you can drop the seat a little lower. Seeing if you can reach the fingers a little higher. Imagining that you can take that sensation you feel in your quads, glutes, and hamstrings, and every exhale, just let a little bit of that tension go. Last breath in. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands. Here comes your Bakasana crow pose, knees to the armpits. The more that you can have the knees into the armpits instead of wider than the arms, the higher your hips are going to go. So draw those knees into the armpits, bend the elbows. Drive the knees down into the arms. Draw your heels up towards your bum. Squeeze it here, look forward. Think about cat in the spine. Squeeze your fingertips, let those middle knuckles rise. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feet down, forward fold. Grab elbow to elbow. Sway and ragdoll. Start to exaggerate that sway and movement. Keep a hold of your elbows. And I'll take your forearms around to the right, up and overhead. And then exhale, bring the forearms down to the left. Ragdoll. Inhale, rising to the right. Exhale, descending to the left. Last time, inhale, roll it up. Just starting to think about how your legs help you control this movement as well as your oblique muscles. Hang out, ragdoll. 3 times moving the opposite direction. Inhale, forearms around to the left. Up and overhead. And then exhale, bring it down. Let your breath control the pace of this movement. It can be fast, it can be slow. I'm doing 3, but maybe you do 2 or maybe you do 5. Whatever your breath dictates. We'll all meet back in ragdoll. Go ahead and plant the hands. Step back to your plank pose. And you're just going to start to find some length here in plank. Reach the heels back. Engage your core. Press down through the base of the thumbs. Big breath in. Exhale, come down to your forearm. So your right forearm comes down and then your left forearm comes down. You maintain the same integrity of the shape between your shoulders, your hips, and your heels. You can bring your hands together in prayer, or your forearms can be parallel with the fingertips kind of creating a goal shape, like a goal pose type shape. And stay with your breath. Ten, 9, 8, 7, you got this. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop your hips down. Untuck your toes. Go ahead and press down on the tops of the feet so that you feel your knees lift up off the earth. Draw your forearms back, pull your chest through. Sphinx pose. Big breath in, lift the chest, lift the chin, lift the head. Exhale, bring everything down to the earth. Take your fingertips out wider than your mat. Take your gaze forward, rock your hips a little side to side. Inhale, lift the chest, cobra, bhujangasana, spread the collarbones. Keep the hips down, keep pressing in the tops of the feet. As you exhale, come down, get a little bit longer as you come down to the earth. Just 2 more times, just rolling through your oscillating cobra. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, your fullest variation of this pose. It can be high, it can be low. You spread the chest, spread the collarbones, feel the shoulder blades move down the back body. Exhale all the way to the earth. Take your knees wide. feet together, hips up and back, child's pose. And we've been moving pretty quickly, so go ahead and just take a little time here. Check in with the breath. Check in with the body, what's happening, the hips, the knees, the ankles, the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists. Can you lengthen your inhale? Hold for just a moment. And then exhale. Inhale, just filling up the back body, filling up the lungs. Hold your breath full at the top. Exhale, let the breath go. Last round. Inhale, expanding. Holding full. Exhale, let the breath go. And then you're just going to plant your hands, come back to your tabletop position, hands at knees. Tuck your toes. Take your hips high. Downward facing dog. And again, just take a moment here, downward facing dog, set your feet, set your hands. Close your eyes. Take a few breaths. And then we're going to start moving back into our standing poses. Inhale, take your right leg to the sky, bend your knee, open your hip. Sink the left heel down, reach the right knee as high as you can. Exhale, step outside of your right hands here in a nice long lizard lunge. Now you keep your shoulders stacked over your wrists. You can stay here right on your hands, or if you'd like, you can go ahead and drop forearms down to the mat. Send the left heel back. Go ahead and sink into the right hip. Just a couple breaths. You can find stillness or just a little small movement. And let's come right back to our hands. And you're going to turn both feet to the right. So you're on the outer edge of the back foot, outer edge of the front foot. Left hand down. Inhale, take your right hand to the sky. As you exhale, lower your left hip towards the earth. Reach towards the back of the mat. Inhale, lift the hips by pressing into the feet. Reach towards the top of the mat. Stretch your right side. 2 more times. Exhale. And inhale. Think about just finding a little bit more movement through that right hip flexor. A little bit more strength, a little bit more length in your right glute. Last time. Inhale, lift the hips, reach forward. Then you're going to take your right hand. You're going to thread the needle underneath your left armpit. Turn to the left. Go ahead and bend your left knee, straighten your right leg. Skandasana. Hands can be down on the ground for balance, or maybe you take your hands to your heart, really, whatever makes sense in your practice. You just find a deep flexion here into the left hip, and then go back into the right side. You bend your right knee, straighten the left leg. Whatever you want to do with your back foot, it can be entirely flat, or you can turn the toes up towards the sky. It's really your choice. It's just your practice. You might do it differently today than you do it tomorrow. Just go side to side. 2 more times left. 2 more times right. Inhale. And then exhale. And once you've come into that third round into the right side, just going to take your hands and then face the front of the mat. Your right toes face forward. Your left toes are going to face left. So you're sitting for your warrior 2 feet. Inhale, take your left arm up like a windmill. Warrior 2. Sink into the front knee. Press into the outer edge of the back foot. And then imagine that you can start to draw your heels towards one another. Your feet aren't going to move, but you're going to feel your hamstrings engage. Look over the front fingertips. Melt the shoulders from the ears. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Left hand down, right hand reaches up. No real change in the feet. You're still in this foundational warrior 2. You're starting to move through the thoracic spine. And then go ahead and take your right elbow to your right knee. Take your left hand, reach it overhead, kind of slice it towards the front of the mat. Left elbow or left bicep and left ear start to become friends. You got option to stay. Step 1. Second option, you can take that left hand behind you, internally rotate the shoulder, reach for your right hip, half bind. Right fingertips can maybe find the floor. Just allows you to go a little bit deeper into this flexion of the right hip. No change in the legs. Next option, you can take the arm underneath. Go ahead and interlace your hands at your right hip for your bound extended side angle. Wherever you are. Here for about 3 breaths. And then if you have the bind, you can release it. You're going to take your right fingertips, walk them in front of your right foot, and then a little bit wider. Start to heel toe the back foot in. Your left hand can be on your left hip. Go ahead and lift your back leg up to the sky. Your heart and hips are in that same position to the side of the left side of the mat like you are in Warrior 2. Half moon pose. Then maybe that left hand goes up to the sky. See if you can flex the left foot so that imagine like that left foot's standing on a wall behind you. So it's just as engaged as the foot that's pressing down to the earth. Maybe you engage your obliques and float your right fingertips above the mat. Wherever you are. Again, it's just about 3 breaths. Finding some stability, finding some strength. And then you're just going to slowly step back and find your Warrior 2 again. Just set the feet. Look down at the feet. See that relationship between the heels and the arches and just see if it's where you like it today, if you want to make any adjustments. Inhale, reach forward, reach backward. Exhale, reverse the warrior, left hand down, right hand reaches back behind you, stretch the right side body. Imagine you can breathe space in between each of the ribs on the right side. You're going to straighten your front leg. Heel toe the back foot in. Send your hips back. Right hand comes down. Find the shin, maybe the fingertips inside of the floor. And then take your left hand up to the sky. Trikonasana triangles pose. Press the chest forward, squeeze the shoulder blades back. See if you can look up with your right eye to your left thumb. Press into the outside edge of your back foot. Feel this left hip start to really be engaged and stretch. Start to squeeze the top of the right leg. Start to engage this quad to find space in the hamstring. Just a couple more breaths. Look forward. Bend into your front knee. Plant both hands down to the mat, inside of your right foot. Go ahead and drop your left knee down. Drop down to your forearms. Just take a little breather here. A nice kind of lower variation of your lizard lunge. And again, you can either find a place of stillness, or you can kind of move the hips a little side to side, either rocking them forward and backward or left and right. Now, this is a great place to stay, but if you want to add an arm balance into your practice, go ahead and come back to your hands. You're going to take your right hand, grab for your right heel, start to work your right shoulder underneath the right leg. Once you've got that shoulder as far underneath the right leg as you can, go ahead and bring the right hand down. Walk the left hand back so that it's parallel, so you're basically setting up for your downward facing dog or chaturanga hands. Squeeze the elbows in. Elbows start flying out. You're going to lose some strength, lose some stability. So if you squeeze the elbows in, you almost create these little shelves you can set your ribs on. Lift the back knee. And this is just step 1, moving towards your counting yasana. Now, if you feel nice and stable and strong, you start to feel the weight in your left toes and in your hands. You can take your right toes and start to walk them forward. Press the inside of the right leg down onto the right elbow. Square the hips, square the shoulders. Maybe float the left toes. You're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left toes down, right leg up, 3-legged dog. Our option to stay here, find your downward facing dog, or you can just go ahead and bring that right knee to the right shoulder one last time. Bend the elbows, come right back into your counting yasana. Extend through the right foot. Float the left toes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Downward facing dog. Go ahead and drop your knees down to the mat. Send your hips back. Take a moment, rest your child's pose. Walk the hands forward. Bring the hands together in prayer. Bend the elbows, find the back of your neck. And just give yourself a little neck massage. Take a moment, collect your breath. And then you're just going to find your downward facing dog again. We'll move on to the left side. Go ahead and sink the heels down. Lift your hips high. Drive through the base of the hands. You should feel really comfortable in your downward facing dog now. It's kind of a nice position of power where you can really start to move. Inhale, take your left leg to the sky. Bend your knee, open your hip. Drop the right heel down. Go ahead and lift the left knee as high as you can. And you're going to step outside of your left hand. Find your lizard lunge. Go ahead and square the hips. Sink into the front knee. Option to stay here on your hands or drop down to your forearms. Keep the back knee lifted. Make this a nice, active, engaged You're staying connected into your core. And for about 3 breaths. And then you're just going to come right back to your hands. Right hand is your base. Turn your toes to the left so you're on the outer edge of both feet. Inhale, take your left hand to the sky, twisting side plank, Parivrttavashisthasana. Exhale, lower your right hip down, reach towards the back of the mat. Inhale, lift your hips, reach forward. Twice more, exhale. Inhale, hips rising, reaching, extending through the fingertips. Exhale. And then inhale. Once you found that big reach, you're going to take the left fingertips underneath that right armpit. You're creating that window of space to move. Drop into your Skandasana right side. At the bottom of that breath, switch to your left side. Option to float the hands or keep the hands down for balance. You just move right. And then you slide left. Think about creating as much length in the spine as you can. Once more to the back of the mat. Once more to the front of the mat. Turn to face forward. Left toes facing the top of the mat. Right toes facing right. Right hand windmills you up, warrior 2. Sink into the front knee. Press into the back foot. Squeeze the heels in slightly. Just start to feel those hamstrings engage. Extend forward and backward. Just find a little ease in the shoulders. Take them away from your ears. Inhale, reverse. No change in the legs. You're just breathing space into the left lung, the left ribs. Left elbow, left knee. Take that right hand, slice it forward. Think about a long, clean line of energy from the outer edge of the right foot to the right hip. Right hip to the right shoulder. Right shoulder to the right fingertips. Stay in here. Maybe stumbling just a little. Or you take that half bind, go ahead and internally rotate the right shoulder, reach behind you, find your left hip. Sink into the front knee. Maybe left fingertips find the inside of the left foot. Keep rotating your chest and your gaze up to the sky. If you took bind on the other side, left hand, left hip, interlace. Press the hips forward, pull the shoulder blades back. 3 breaths wherever you are. You're going to look forward, release your bind if you have it. Walk the left fingertips forward and then wide to the left. Go ahead and draw that right foot in, heel toe until you can load the left foot. Lift the right leg up to the sky. You can keep your half bind or you can reach the right hand to the sky. Right foot is flexed, right toes spread. Maybe engage the obliques. Start to float the left fingertips up off the ground. Engage your core, navel up and in, tailbone towards your heel. Couple breaths. As you exhale, step back quietly. Find your warrior 2. Look down, just find that foundation in your feet. Inhale, reverse. Straighten the front leg. Heel toe the back foot in. Send the right hip towards the back of the mat. Start to reach your chest forward, your head forward. Left hand goes down, either finds the shin, maybe it's a block, maybe it's fingertips inside of your left heel. Left eye to the right thumb. Right rib cage pulling back, left rib cage pressing forward. Pressing into the right foot to find space there in the outer right hip and the hip flexor and the glute. Squeezing your left quad to find space in your left hamstring. Exhale, right hand comes down inside of the front foot. Walk the left foot a little bit wide, drop your right knee down. Go ahead and drop down onto your forearms. Sink down into your hips. Find a nice restful lizard lunge. Deep flexion into the hips. Stay with your breath. Now, option to stay here. You can come back to your hands. Again, that arm balance. Ekapada Vinyasa version B or version 2. We're going to access it here from this low lizard lunge. Pull the hips back. Think about creating this space, this window underneath the left knee, left hamstring. Take your left hand, hook it around the left ankle, and just start to work that left leg up onto the left shoulder. Squeeze the knee in. That's adduction. This is drawing towards center. That gives you some stability. Plant the left hand. Walk the right hand back parallel. Squeeze the elbows in. Straighten your right knee. Great place to be. This is the foundation. This is Krama 1. This is the first step. If this is a pose that you want to actually move towards. Step 2, you're going to start to walk those left toes out to the left. Press down through the inner left leg. Maybe the right toes start to hover. Square the hips, square the shoulders. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right toes down, left leg to the sky, three-legged dog. Option to stay here or find downward facing dog or come one more time. Ekapada counting yasana. Left knee, left shoulder. Bend the elbows, stack the leg. Extend the toes. Float the back foot. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right toes down. Downward facing dog. Drop your knees down to the mat. Walk your hands back. Come to standing on your knees. Nice work. Stay with this practice. Keep moving. Keep breathing. Hands behind your low back. Fingertips face up. Thumbs start to press the tailbone down. Inhale, lift the chest. Spread the collarbones. Exhale, press the hips forward. Spin the inner thighs back. Inhale. Exhale. Next breath brings you right back up. You're going to take your right hand, shake it out. Take your left hand, shake it out. Right hand's going to reach behind you, find your right heel. Inhale, take your left hand up to the sky, square the hips, square the shoulders, half camel. Ardha Ustrasana. Inhale. Exhale, come right back through center. Left hand, shake it out. Left hand, left heel. Right hand sweeps up, reaches behind you, square the hips, square the shoulders. Press the hips forward, spin the inner thighs back. Inhale. Exhale. Right back through center. Last variation of this camel pose today. Hands can again find the low back. Or maybe take both hands down towards your heels. Press the hips forward. Squeeze the shoulder blades. Spread the collarbones. Take your chin to the sky. And breathe. Any kind of compression that you start to feel in your low back, engage your core. So pull the navel up and in and see if that releases any tension that you might have or compression that you might feel in the low lumbar spine. Last couple breaths. And then just slowly come out. You're going to come all the way down onto your belly. Lower your chest down, extend the feet long. Take your hands behind you and interlace. Just notice which thumb's on top because we're going to do both sides. Press onto the tops of the feet, feel the knees lift and engage. Inhale, chase your hands towards your heels, spread the collarbones. As you exhale, float your feet up off the ground. Inhale, find a little length, like you're trying to point your toes towards the back of the mat and reach your crown of your head towards the front of the room. Exhale, squeeze the navel in, squeeze the shoulder blades. Another breath in. Exhale, release down to the earth. Release your hands. Drop your left ear to the mat. Bend your knees and just start to windshield wiper the legs. And then just go ahead and take your feet back to the back of the mat. You're going to reach your hands behind you again. Just find that opposite grip. So opposite thumb on top, opposite pinky on bottom. Press into the feet, knees lift, legs are engaged. Inhale, chase your hands down towards your heels, lift the chest. Exhale, float your feet. Start to squeeze the inner thighs towards one another. Take your chin up to the sky. Feel the compression. Inhales to lift, get a little longer, a little fuller, a little bit more back bend. Exhales to find a little bit more stability. Big breath in. Exhale, release. Take your hands out wide to a T shape. Wiggle your shoulders, wiggle your hips. Walk your left hand by your left shoulder. You're just going to roll onto your right side. Take your left foot, lift it up. Bend the knee, drop the toes behind you. Drop your right ear down. Nice shoulder stretch. Breathing in. Exhale, letting it go. 2 more breaths. Come back through center. Take your left hand wide, walk your right fingertips by your right shoulder. Roll onto your left side. Feel the stretch in the left shoulder. Right leg lifts, bend the knee, drop the right toes behind you. Drop your left ear down towards the mat. Stay here with your breath. The more you press into your right fingertips, the deeper you can go into the stretch of the left shoulder. Just breathing in and out through the nose. Now you're going to come back to center. Go ahead and plant your hands by your shoulders. Press to your tabletop, hands and knees. Moving towards our peak pose variation today. Dolphin and Pincha Mayurasana. So you got these options of coming down onto our forearms, and then we can decide what we want to do with our legs and our hips. We've moved through the shoulders. We've opened up the hamstrings. We found some space here in the front chain of the body. So let's find some stability on the forearms. Hands come down to the mat. Forearms are parallel. Maybe for this first variation, create that goal pose shape in the hand so that you get that L shape. Your forearms are about as wide as your shoulders. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips high. Press the forearms down and forward. And you can just start to feel like what's going on with the legs. Can you find a little bit more length in the hamstring by sinking the heels? Your head's not on the earth. You are on your forearms. So this is just a little different than being in a headstand. You can stay here and breathe. Chest moving towards the thighs. Back of the neck is long, chin is tucked. Feet can come together to touch. Look between your forearms or between your elbows. Inhale, take your left leg to the sky, this 3-legged dolphin. Great opportunity to stay here where you can bend your right knee. Press off your right knee, shift your hips up over your shoulders. Keep the L shape in the legs. Press the chest towards the back of the mat. If you want, you can bring the feet together to touch. Squeeze the inner thighs, point the toes. Bring it down with control. Knees wide. Child's pose. Sweep the hands behind you, internally rotate the shoulders, interlace underneath your tailbone. Drop your right ear to the earth and just shift your hips and shoulders side to side. Big breath in. Big breath out. And you're just going to come right back up. Sitting on your knees. Bring your forearms down to the earth. Second variation, take your palms. So the back of the hand's going to be on the earth. You're going to start to draw this inner edge of the hand together so that your thumbs are facing outwards. Go ahead and find a nice triangle shape between the forearms. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips. Find the second variation of dolphin. And it's almost like your hands are like holding a book open. So keep that movement so you feel this external rotation in your forearms. Press down into the hands. Move your chest towards your thighs. Press the forearms down and forward. See how much space you can create between your shoulders and the ground. And this time, maybe take your right leg up to the sky. This 3-legged dolphin variation is a great place to stay. Or maybe you look between your forearms, you bend your left knee, you find the shift. Moving the hips over the shoulders, shoulders over the elbows. Maybe taking the legs straight up to the sky. Keep rolling that book open. Keep trying to open the book. Find the external rotation in the forearms. Point the toes. Engage your core. Lower with control. Child's pose. This time for your child's pose, take your knees a little bit wider. Take your left hand inside of your left leg. Right hand inside of your right leg. Drop your right ear to the earth. Rock the hips side to side. Maybe you grab for your heels or your feet. Turn your head the opposite direction. Just take a few breaths. Take your gaze forward. Go ahead and come to sitting back on your heels. Plant your hands, downward facing dog. Now really just taking a few breaths here in this last downward facing dog that we're going to hold. We'll see it maybe 1 or 2 more times in the practice. Maybe thinking back to that first downward facing dog that when you stuck your hips in the air and pressed down through your heels and pressed the hands forward. And maybe just scanning the body again and saying, what feels a little bit different now? Where do I feel stronger? Where am I a little bit more tired? Where have I created a little bit more space? What can I do with my breath at this point? Can I make the inhale a little longer? Can I extend the exhale, make it a little softer? Can I be here in this very present moment? And then walk your feet together to touch. Inhale, take your right leg to the sky. Go ahead and bring your right knee to your right wrist, cross the shin across the body. Drop the hips down, work the left toes back. Just move your hips a little side to side so that if you feel like one side's sinking a little lower than the other, you got the option of just leveling it out. Sort of lift the chest. Feel like you're kind of like growing from your hips to your ribs to your shoulders. And then when you've got the length, you just start to surrender over your right shin. Maybe come into forearms. Maybe lowering the chest down to the mat. See if you can tuck your chin. Just feel the back of the neck get long. Maybe dropping your forehead down to the earth. Nice full breath in. Just feel the chest expand. Exhale through your nose. Feel the chest contract and get heavier to the earth. Full inhale. Hold the breath for just a moment. Full exhale. Hold the breath empty. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause empty. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Inhale fully. Open mouth, exhale, let the breath go. Come back to your hands. Drop over to your right hip. Swing your left leg around so your right knee stays bent. Your right foot's going to be inside of your left. Go and take your fingertips behind you. Inhale, lift your chest. Start to feel like, again, you're growing from hips to ribs, ribs to shoulders. Inhale, reach your hands to the sky. Exhale, fold over your left leg. The left knee can be somewhat bent. Turn your chest so that it starts to fall over top of the left knee, the left shin. Reach the chest and head forward. And fold in, Jana Shirsasana. Melt the shoulders from the ears. Maybe if that left knee is somewhat bent, you can start to slide it towards straight if that space is available and accessible to you at this moment. If it's not, that's perfectly fine too. Yoga is done with straight legs and bent legs. As long as you're there with your intention, your breath, asking yourself those questions about what is and what isn't. Not being too attached on how things look, but just being more attached to how things feel. Slowly unwind. You're going to swing that left leg back behind you. Plant both hands, step back, downward facing dog. And go right into the other side. Inhale your left leg all the way up. Exhale, bring the shin across the body. Left knee, left wrist, left ankle, right wrist. Walk the right toes back, lift the chest. Move the hips a little side to side. Take a nice big inhale and create as much length as you can. Maybe feeling those outer hips starting to kind of draw towards center. Whenever you're ready, just surrender. Fold over the left shin. Walk the hands forward, drop your chest. Work the right toes back. Settle into that space that feels like a stretch in the left hip that's not too easy yet not too hard. That place that's just right between rest and tension. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Breath in. Pause the breath full. Exhale. Pause the breath empty. Breath in. Hold. Breath out. Hold empty. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Hold empty. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Full breath in. Open mouth, exhale it out. Walk your hands back in. Drop over to your left hip, swing the right foot around. Left knee stays bent, squeeze the left foot inside of the right thigh. Fingertips behind you, take a big breath in, lift your chest, find some length. Exhale, fold over your right leg. Again, that right knee can start off bent. You reach down for ankle or outer edges of the feet, to the top of the foot and the toes. You just square your chest over top of the extended right leg. See if you can melt your shoulders away from your ears. Just take in any tension that's you're carrying there in the neck and the cervical spine. And see if you can take a big breath in. And use your exhale to release any tension or stress that you might be carrying in the neck. Lengthen in your inhale. Extending and softening the exhale. Maybe just noticing if there's any difference between what's happening on this side than happened on the other side. Again, finding no attachment to the difference, just recognizing it for what it is at this very moment. Slowly unfold. You're going to take both legs forward. Bend the knees. Inhale, reach your hands to the sky. Exhale, fold over your extended legs. Hands can find the toes, they can find the shins, they can find the ankles. Knees can be somewhat bent, or you can start to move them towards straight. Start to reach the chest forward and then tuck the chin. Let your gaze go in towards your navel. Paschimottanasana. Just starting to feel the upper part of the body compressing into the lower part of the body. Staying with your Ujjayi breath, just using your inhales to create space in the chest by expanding the lungs. Noticing how when the breath comes in, it also creates some space in the low back as the belly fills up. As you exhale, just seeing that space that you start to evacuate as the navel comes in, if the body can just start to fold in a little deeper. Use your next inhale to come right back up to your seat. And then just go ahead and bring your feet together. Hands down beside you, lower all the way down onto your back. Let your hands fall to the inner thighs. Supta Baddha Konasana. Shift the hips, shift the shoulders anyway, just so you start to feel fully supported by the earth, fully grounded into your mat. Extend the left leg long. Draw the right knee into the chest. Squeeze the shin and the knee towards the right armpit. Flex your right foot. Spread the right toes. And then you're just going to drop your right knee over to the left side of the body. That knee can come down onto the earth. Your right hip stacks on top of your left. Take your right hand back behind you for a nice easy twist. Look over your right fingertips. Go ahead and roll back to center. Squeeze the right knee down towards the right armpit one last time. Extend the right leg long. Draw your left knee into your chest. Squeeze knee towards the armpit. Flex the left foot. Spread the left toes. Drop left knee over to the right side of the body. Feel this stacking of hip over hip. Take your left fingertips. Reach back to the left. Look over your left shoulder. Roll back to center, squeeze both knees into the chest. Wrap your forearms around your shins and rock a little side to side. Whenever you're ready, just start to extend both legs long. Take your right foot towards the right corner of the mat. Take your left foot towards the left corner of the mat. And just bring your hands down by your side, turn your palms up to the sky. Tuck your chin, feel the back of the neck get long. And close your eyes. And even with eyes closed, imagine that you can see your breath and how it changes the shape of the chest, and just notice how the inhale, the chest rises. And the exhale, the chest falls. And let your next breath in be a little quieter. Maybe the chest rises just a little less high. And let your next exhale be a little bit softer, and maybe the chest falls just a little less low. And let your next several breaths just become a little quieter, a little softer, a little more natural, a little sleepier. We take this time at the end of the practice, at the end of all our efforts, to allow things to settle down, to come back to center. We balance all of our effort with this long moment of ease and surrender, Shavasana. And I invite you to spend another 10 to 20 breaths here down on your mats. There's certainly no rush to leave this final pose. But just take a moment now to thank you for joining us here with O2 Life, and look forward to practicing with you online and in the studio again real soon. Namaste.